There is too much that does not add up, does not make sense about this tragedy which unfolded last week in Kayole, involving a DCI officer, police constable, David Mayaka. You know, this incident was very tragic, but it also clearly confirms to us the season in which we are in. And indeed it confirms some very chilling predictions made about some of the unfortunate things that will unfold in the nation called Kenya during this season the country is passing through. Stay with me. I will discuss that a little later on in the show. Make sure you don't miss it, because it is chilling, to say the least. Now, of course, you all know the story. DCI officer driving home with his wife, a little late, past 9. Actually, everything unfolded between 9:30 and about 10 at night. They get a puncture, which is what allows the whole tragedy to unfold. And very unfortunately for the evil people behind all this, it is all captured on CCTV camera. And we can be sure that whoever was behind this did not plan about a CCTV camera, because that has changed the entire equation. Okay? Just imagine a situation where there was no CCTV footage. It would have been he said, they said, the police said. It would have been a totally confusing scenario. But the CCTV footage, even though it's not very clear in many instances, gives us the timelines and tells us exactly what happened when and how it happened. That changes everything. We see the motorbike passing, scouting the location the first time. It goes round through another route and then returns for the evil mission. We hear the gunshots. We hear his wife screaming at the top of her voice. Sasa, able to rewind, we'll look at this a little deeper. Now, if you're a trained police officer, especially a detective, and you get a puncture at night, somewhere that is not too crowded, what is the first thing you need to be careful about? You need to be alert. It is common sense, even if it is not in the training, that you need to be super alert. At least in the days when my late political lecturer was in the police, that should have been basic. Because it is highly unlikely that this puncture was not part of the plan. It must have been. It is not too difficult to organize for a vehicle to get a puncture, and especially at night. And that is why we see the motorbike passing by as the late Mayaka prepares to change the punctured tire of his vehicle. It is highly likely that those people were scouting the location before the hit. Now, I've never been a police officer, but let me just pass on the tips and training I was given by my late political lecturer. If you get a puncture anywhere at night, especially in a place where there are not so many people passing, expect an attack. So even as you change your tire, rather expecting an attack. That is basic. Of course, in many instances, it may never come. Maybe in 10 out of the 10 incidences that happen to you in your lifetime, maybe the attack will never come. But you are prepared. That's very important. Because organizing a puncture is one of the oldest tricks in the book for thugs. How do you stay alert? Stay alert with your eyes and your ears. And especially with people who approach you, posing as your helpers. They are to help you. Always assume that they are hostile and armed. There may be very little you can do about it. However, somebody who is prepared has a much higher chance of survival than somebody who is not. Somebody who is completely taken by surprise. Now, the first time this incident came to my attention, the very first thing I questioned was why everybody was reporting it as a robbery. 3 robbers on a motorcycle, a robbery gone wrong. It struck me that people were too fast to peddle a counter narrative when everything on the CCTV camera was pointing to an assassination. It was too obvious. And it's really common sense. If you're a robber and you want the vehicle, what is the first thing you do? You ask for the car keys. You're focused on your objective, getting the vehicle. So you ask for the car keys. And if there's resistance, you will also resist until you're sure you've gotten the car. You'll not shoot first and then get the car later. It is highly unlikely that you'll shoot first and then think of how you can get the car later. No, it doesn't work like that. And even stranger, guess what? The police are still saying they cannot rule out robbery as the motive. And then a police vehicle passes the scene, and drives on, stops briefly, but drives on. And then what a lot of Kenyans have already pointed out, the behavior of Mrs. Mayaka on the scene. Now, when somebody's in shock, they can behave in many strange and unpredictable ways. That is possible. But what really came out here was a badly written script of an action movie. That's how it looked. Where the writer of the script got human nature and human reaction all wrong. Your husband has been shot. You have been shot as a wife, but your husband has also been shot, and he appears to be more badly injured than you are. Of course, you're in great pain, but what is the most likely way you'll behave? You'll be close to him. You'll be trying to assist him as much as you can in the emergency, even as you cry for help. And the most telling thing, even as you cry for help, you'll not be giving details of the silence. That there were 3 giving people the number. Aye, that was strange. And there are many, many endless questions. Here's one from yours truly. A low-ranking police officer owning a vehicle? That is strange. And if the vehicle was a DCI vehicle, then what I'd expect is constant communication in that vehicle with other officers, with the base, etc., etc. This appears to have been missing. So again, many, many questions there. Now, my apologies. I may appear to be giving you sketchy information, but there's a very thin line between giving you, my dear subscribers, authentic information on this channel and actually making public information on how the police operate that can be used by thugs tomorrow. It's a very thin line, so I have to tread carefully. I can't give too much detail sometimes. Please bear with me. And so if we were to explore the theory that this may have been a hit, we immediately come across a very huge obstacle of a question. And that question is, why? A junior officer at the DCI? Why? Why would somebody want to end his life? The most likely answer is something that has been coming up a lot in our country in recent times. Tying up loose ends. Information that the late Mayaka had, or something he was working on that touched on wakubwa, very powerful people, may have been the motive. Now, in case you're not aware, anywhere in the world, in any corner of this world, people don't kill cops. Even in places where crime is so serious. In many instances, in most instances, hardened criminals avoid hitting a police officer. And I'll tell you the main reason. It'll attract attention where they don't want it. Whatever they're up to, whatever the criminals are doing, they don't want to focus all the attention of the security agencies on them, which is precisely what will happen when you harm a police officer. Because the police usually take it personally. They stop everything else they're doing and start focusing on you and on that area where you're operating. and definitely don't want that to happen. Because typically, the police are busy. Yeah, they may know about your activities, but they're also busy with many other activities. But immediately you do something crazy like this, they stop everything and focus all their resources, all their attention, everything on you. Obviously you don't want that unless you're an idiot. And so for that reason, I would be very hesitant, yeah, in swallowing the story of some local gangs being involved. And even if they were, it is highly likely that somebody else instructed them, gave them the incentive to do what they did. If they're involved, that is. Which brings us to something else that raised my suspicions. In normal circumstances, after investigators have ruled out a few basic things, one of the first places they will usually land to look at is a possible love triangle. Something that is becoming way too common in our country. Yeah, jealous husband somewhere, yeah, who may get information that such and such a man who is also married has been doing things that he should not do with his dear wife. Yeah, that happens a lot. Or even a wife who may feel that her dear husband should go before her because he is an obstacle to something that she wants to do or is doing, etc., etc. But in this particular Mayaka case, the way the cops have been talking has been strange for somebody who understands. You know, the season in which we are passing through as a country is a deadly season. It is the season of judgment. And we all know what the police did to the demonstrators. We all know throughout history what the police have been doing to innocent people. Unarmed Kenyans. Yeah, there was even another incident that came to light recently in Mombasa, yeah, which is being handled by Muhuri, yeah, the human rights group, where some policemen just picked up some street boys and did a lot of damage for nothing. And when one of the people they had arrested looked like they were very badly injured, they quickly threw them into the streets, yeah, so that there's no connection if anything happens, if they die. There's no connection or link to the police that anybody can prove. Fortunately, in that incident, the poor street boy survived with a broken hand and a broken leg. And now human rights groups are taking action, yeah, against the individual police officers involved. And therefore there are many people who believe that there's a kind of spiritual judgment that is unfolding on the police. The blood they have spilled over the years is crying out from the ground. And the season of judgment is here. What do you expect is going to happen? If you know somebody who works for the police, if you have a relative or somebody like that, it is very important that you keep them in your prayers. We're in a very dangerous time. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.